and the fight's on. But really, they're out there. I think my brother's one of them. Actually, I know he is, but he doesn't live in Colorado anymore. He's in Louisiana or Texas. So.
I used to say to people all the time, they get in my face about this. You can't do this, you can't do that. I'd look at them and I'd say, you know, I don't think you like me. I don't think I could stand it if I thought you didn't like me. And then they just get at it, they go off like a Roman candle. It's correct. I picture everybody as covered in buttons. Just covered in buttons, and I push all their buttons all the time. And it's great fun. It's like a form of entertainment. Well, let's see what this thing does. Ooh, that's a great one.
Hello, I am from Phoenix, and I'm sorry if this question has been asked and answered. I may or may not have been sleeping at 9:30 this morning. And the first questions were asked, how in the hell did Investigation Discovery find you? Of all the jurisdictions in this country, how did they find you and pick you? I mean, not that it was
I did answer it this morning. I'll answer it again, okay, for those of you that weren't here. Even at the time, I'd spent a lot of time in front of the press. We have a press information officer in the department, but the media people know that the press information officer is going to speak the company line. He's not going to say anything of any significance. He's not know anything of any significance because he's not really part of the case. He's the talking head for the police department, and he gets up and he says, well, we're going to endeavor to person here, or whatever that means. And that's the way it's going to go. So they want to talk to me because I'm running the homicide unit, so they want to talk to me. So a lot of exposure to the press. One particular case, Diane Sawyer had a program called Turning Point, which was an attempt by ABC News to get into the 60 Minutes crowd. It was on Wednesday nights, primetime TV, 2 or 3 stories, just like 60 Minutes. They did that show for several years. She interviewed me on a murder case. That interview eventually was sold to A&E, the History Channel, or whatever, because I did it generically. I offered no names, dates, places, times. So I did 30 minutes of national television based on a generic comment about violence in society. So it was a good selling point for people to sell that piece, to other networks. And somebody from Discovery sees it, and they write me a letter. And they say, we're going to make you a TV star. And I was retired, and my wife was sitting across from me at the table, and she said, what's that? I said, it's a letter from some guy. It says you can put me on TV like I was going to happen, You can call him? Nope. I don't like TV people. I don't call him. Well, she beat me up for 3 days, and I finally said, all right, I'll call him. And it premiered, season 8 premiered August 29th, so she was right.
So, we only have time for about maybe 2 or 3 more questions, and this is our last opportunity to ask questions pertaining to Detective Brian Ritz and how they interacted. So let's make the last few questions about how they worked as a team.
Hi, I'm Diane from Texas. Howdy. I've noticed that criminals really like to talk about what they've done, and I'm wondering how often jailhouse snitches work into your solving cases.
Jailhouse snitches have helped clear cases, but once again, where are you getting your information? Somebody who has already screwed up is in jail. For what reason are they willing to come forward? Speaking from personal experience, my brother was murdered a couple of years ago. Property was stolen. Somebody said, hey, I know where property like that is. Kind of led to another group, and that led to the guy who was ultimately responsible for the death of my brother. The interesting part was there was a jailhouse snitch because, as I said, criminals are not the brightest people out there. They don't know when to keep their mouth shut. And he, of course, said things that was very detrimental to his defense to somebody in the jailhouse. And those statements got in. And when they were in and were just getting ready to do closing arguments, he leans over to his attorney and says, I'm going to plead guilty to first-degree murder. I think he realized that his goose was cooked, he was going to get one way or the other, so he just leaned over and said, I'll plead guilty. I believe that he's probably going to plead guilty, but until he allocutes or says what he did in front of the judge, and the judge spends 30 or 45 minutes trying to talk him out of it, and finally accepts it, you're not ready to relax yet. Once he does that, the judge accepts it, now it's time to relax. And that's what happened. I think the jailhouse snitch in our case was probably the final nail in the coffin on this individual. What probably helps is some of them will come forward and say, you know what, I'm not after anything, I screwed up, I made my mistakes, I'll pay for it. But this guy did this and I don't like that, so I'm going to tell you. When they come forward and they're not looking for a sentence reduction or dropping their bail rate or whatever, it's nice to see, it's nice to hear. Once again though, anything you get, you have to investigate. And you get, like Crime Stoppers tips or anything else. These things come in and you get inundated with somebody saying, well, I think I saw something like that over here or it was over there. We have to investigate them because you're guaranteed the defense is going to investigate them. And if we don't do a full job, we're going to lose. So it does tie us up. Even the jailhouse ones tie us up and get us more down in the mud and the mire than where we need to be. But they have helped. Some of them are in it for their own personal gains. Others are actually civic-minded, which would surprise you sometimes.
We have a question straight ahead here in the back.
I'm Barbara from Eastern California. Brian, what's your favorite story about Joe?
Favorite story about Joe? He's a good storyteller. I think that's pretty evident by what we do in these shows. Honestly, I can't really say what would be my favorite story about Joe. I enjoyed working with him. I enjoyed working homicide. I wanted to get in that unit, and I worked for it, and they asked me to be part of the unit. He was part of that request. So I'm just very pleased to have the opportunity to have worked with him. He did teach me a lot. If you don't learn something all the time, you're losing, and I never had the chance to lose working for him.
Hey, Joe, this is Barbara again. I want to know what your favorite story is with Brian.
Yeah, he just said he knows where I live. I said, Brian is I've said it before, Brian's an excellent detective, and I didn't have to concern myself. And I turned Brian loose a number of times when we had, like he mentioned, multiple cases. It's the hardest thing in everybody because nobody sleeps for days, and everybody's, they don't know their own name or anything else. But I still knew I could rely on Brian to get something done. If you had to sleep for 2 days, you could rely on him to get something done. And I couldn't say that about a lot of other people I had to work with. So I used him, I actually abused him more than once because I knew that he could do it. And I wasn't convinced that others could. So he probably owes me a few blows over the head for that. But that's what I would do. I mean, Brian was my guy. When it came to doing something that had to be done right and had to be done right now, he's the guy.
You heard Sal describe me as a BB in a boxcar or a BB in a box. Yes, I worked at a different pace than a lot of people. I didn't expect them to work at my pace, but I worked at a different pace because I was happy at that pace. And if it's hounded me my entire career, even as a supervisor, this is the way I work. I don't expect you to do that. I expect me to do that. And it was always getting me harassed and other things. Cops can be cruel. The problem is they can be crueler to other cops than they are to the public. But every time it just builds better character and better relationships. And the reality is, Colorado Springs Police Department is one strong organization because of the people it has in it, and the work that Joe did, and some of the work that I did, the history of the department, and it really speaks for itself in the way it's capable to maintain a high clearance rate on homicides. because that is the ultimate crime.
We have time for We have time for one more question, and then the bingo people are coming in here. Yes.
Hi, Brian. Bob from Vancouver, Washington. I have one question for you. What is your most satisfying case? What is the one you went home at night happy that you solved?
I think my best case was that first one I mentioned already, the Hood Reality homicide. There was a lot of work done by a lot of good people on that case. 2 people were tried in 2 different jurisdictions because they had a change of venue. One was Fort Morgan, which, Fort Morgan. I won't say much more. It's Fort Morgan. There's not a whole lot there. And the other was Glenwood Springs. What's real nice is I got to spend like 2 weeks in the pool at Glenwood Springs because they say, we need you on Tuesday. You rush up there to get there on Tuesday, and they don't even use you before the end of the week. You got to go back the next week. And you're sitting around in the pool being paid for it. Pretty good time. But just being able to clear that case and all the different factions that got involved in that case, it was interesting. It was fun. It was also one of my first autopsies. Okay, and this is going to sound cruel, but parts are parts. First time I did an autopsy, I stood over the doctor's shoulder, and he showed me everything. After that, you go and look at wound dynamics because that's all you really need. And the only reason the cops did an autopsy is so that the coroner doesn't have to go to the prelim. We can testify to what the coroner said at the prelim. But it was interesting work. The hardest one's probably when it involved children, parents who couldn't control themselves, or boyfriends who couldn't control themselves and actually hurt the kids instead of the person they're trying to hurt. Because we had those too.
Okay, on that positive note. All right, so did you have a good time today? You will find that the 10 different cast members of the show from Colorado Springs and Knoxville are very approachable. Like the comedians say, we're here all week, folks. You can go up to them and talk to them, and if there was a question that was answered but that you want more information, they'll be happy to chat with you. Also, tomorrow's going to be a good time. They're all planning to go to what's the first one, Cabo Wabo, or the Mango Deck. The Cabo Wabo, not everyone's going to that. That's just for the hard partiers. But the first one we're going to Mango Deck. All the cast members are planning to be there. They're just want to talk to you. They meet you. Television can be a lonely business. You're sitting in a studio somewhere and just talking to a camera. And they love this interaction. They told me they really, really like these forums. So the next thing that's going to happen is 7:15, Captain's Welcome Board reception at 7:15 at Deck 5 midship, and then after that, most of us have dinner at 8 o'clock. Ladies and gentlemen, Detective Brian Ritz and Lieutenant Eric